Let's go to Rule 17, no? Dismissal of actions. Dito, ang laging tinatanong, yung to dismissal rule na tinatawag. Anyways, itakal natin yung buong rule, no? So, basic muna tayo, no? What's the difference with dismissal with prejudice and dismissal without prejudice? Pag sinabi mong with prejudice, adjudication upon the merits or adjudication on the merits, no? O, pag without prejudice, it means the opposite. Diba? The case was adjudicated without going into the merits of the case. So, kung nagkaroon man ng dismissal, pwedeng i-refile. Okay? Pwedeng i-refile. Okay, so dismissals which have an effect of adjudication on the merits. So, ito yung mga examples natin. Res judicata, no? Affirmative defense yan. No? Affirmative defense, tapos pag na-dismiss yung kaso with prejudice. Prescription, extinguished claim or liability, unenforceability of the contract under the statute of frauds, willful and deliberate forum shopping, di ba? Summary dismissal with prejudice yan, under Rule 7. To dismissal rule, dismissal due to the fault of the plaintiff, example is failure to obey an order of the court, no? And failure to appear at the pre-trial by the plaintiff and counsel. Itatakil natin ngayon yung number 6 at saka yung number 7. To dismissal rule at saka dismissal due to the fault of the plaintiff. Okay, so sa to dismissal rule po tayo. Yung nasa provision kasi, no, under Rule 17, medyo ang hirap i-memorize nung provision kasi medyo mahirap yung pagkakagawa ng sentence. So, I encourage you, no, na gamitin na lang natin yung requisites for to dismissal rule under jurisprudence or as provided by jurisprudence. Okay? So, the to dismissal rule operates as an adjudication upon the merits or on the merits. What are the requisites? There were previous two cases that were dismissed or two previous cases that were dismissed. They were dismissed by a competent court. No? Both cases were based on or include the same claim or cause of action. Both notices for dismiss there were both notices of dismissal. Hayaan na natin itong motion to dismiss blah 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 kasi prohibited motion ang motion to dismiss, di ba? Kung matatanong man tayo sa bar dyan, baka hindi na dito magfo-focus. Kasi masyado nang magiging complicated yung tanong. So, kung magtatanong man sa inyo ng to dismissal rule sa bar, probably ang magiging facts dyan around notice of dismissal or notice for dismissal. Okay, isa-isahin po natin yung mga requisites. No? Isa-isahin natin. First, there were previous two cases that were dismissed. So, ano po ibig sabihin nito? Pag sinabi mong may dalawang previous na kasong na-dismiss, so ilang kaso po dapat ang makita namin sa exam o makita sa question para magkaroon ng to dismissal rule? Dapat tatlo. For the to dismissal rule to apply, there must be 3 cases in the question. Why? The to dismissal rule will be raised by the defendant in the third case. No? Hindi ka sa second case mag-erase ng to dismissal rule kasi there was only one case that was dismissed before. Second case, tumatakbo pa kaso, edi pag nag-invoke ng to dismissal rule ng defendant, denied yung in-invoke, denied yung ano niya na yun. Diba? Walang merit yung defense ng defendant na ganon. Kasi nga, one pa lang yung nadi-dismiss na kaso. So, dapat dalawang kaso ma-dismiss, tapos sa pangatlong kaso, doon tayo magpa-file doon tayo mag-erase ng affirmative defense na to dismissal rule. Okay? Example, first case, notice of dismissal. File ang plaintiff. Second case, notice of dismissal ulit. Nag-file ang plaintiff. And then, yung third case, at saka po mag-i-invoke yung ating defendant. Okay? They were dismissed by a competent court. So these previous two cases were dismissed by a competent court. No, so bibigyan natin kayo ng example, no? Mr. A filed an action for damages in the amount of 1 million pesos against Mr. B with RTC Pasay. Before the service of the answer, no? Mr. A filed a notice of dismissal. The court dismissed the action. Later, Mr. A filed an action for damages in the amount of 1 million pesos against Mr. B with Metsi Pasay. Okay. Mr. A filed a notice of dismissal again. So the court dismissed it once again. For a third time, Mr. A filed an action for damages in the amount of 1 million pesos against Mr. B with Metsi Pasay. Okay, so pangatlong kaso na, no? Mr. B in his answer alleged that the action must be dismissed because of the two dismissal rule. Is Mr. B correct? No. Mr. B is incorrect because the first action was dismissed by a court that had no jurisdiction over the subject matter. It was not a competent court. Kasi nga, 1 million lang po yung amount of the demand, tapos i-final mo sa RTC. BP 129, di ba, dapat it must exceed 2 million pesos para maging RTC ang proper court or competent court of jurisdiction. Since the first case was dismissed by a court that had no jurisdiction over the subject matter, edi hindi po pumatak yung hindi po naging applicable yung to dismissal rule. Kasi ganito yan, no? Ang unang nag-dismiss ng kaso, RTC, not a competent court. So, hindi po naging one. Hindi po matak. Ayun yung sinasabi ko. So, after pong ma-dismiss ng RTC yung kaso, 0 pa rin ang bilang natin. Okay, 0 pa din. Yan. O later, nag-file ng action for damages sa Metsi Pasay. Nag-file ng notice of dismissal. Si A ulit. Saka lang po papatak yan. Ang bilang na natin ngayon, 1 na. So, 0, tapos 1. Okay. And then for a third time, Mr. A filed an action for damages in the amount of 1 million with Metsi Pasay. Mr. B in his answer alleged that the action must be dismissed because of the two dismissal rule. Is Mr. B correct? No, hindi siya correct kasi 1 lang po yung naging patak. Hindi po 1, 2 ang bilang. 0, tapos 1. Bakit 0? Kasi the court had no jurisdiction over the subject matter. Kasi nga, 1 million lang po yung amount of damages claimed by Mr. A. So, yan po ang important dyan. Very important tong dalawa na to. No? Sige. Actually, important lahat. No? Pero, prediction ko, kung matatanong kayo sa to dismissal rule, dito lalabas yan. Why? Kasi, if sa second requisite kayo tatanungin, the examiner can test kung alam nyo ang two dismissal rule along with BP 129. So, magkakaroon po ng interplay of multiple provisions. So, isang question, makikita niya talaga kung ready na tayong maging lawyer o hindi. Diba? Maganda yung mga ganun eh. Yung hindi lang isang rule o isang provision ang titatanong sa'yo. But, it would require 2 or more provisions para makakuha ka ng tamang sagot. Like yan, competent court. How can you justify that this court is not competent or was not competent? O di kailangan mong tignan ng BP 129. And so on. Okay, so sa next tayong requisite. Both cases were based on or include the same claim or cause of action. Mr. A and Mr. B entered into a contract of loan secured by a real estate mortgage. The assessed value of the property is 100,000 pesos. Mr. B failed to pay upon demand. Okay? Thus, Mr. A filed an action for collection of sum of money in the amount of 1 million pesos against Mr. B with Metsi Pasay. Before the service of the answer, Mr. A filed a notice of dismissal. The court dismissed the action. Later, Mr. A filed an action for judicial foreclosure against Mr. B with Metsi Pasay. Mr. A filed a notice of dismissal again. The court dismissed it once again. For a third time, Mr. A filed an action for collection of sum of money against Mr. B with Metsi Pasay. Mr. B in his answer alleged that the action must be dismissed because of the two dismissal rule. So, ito po, sa patak-patak ulit tayo, titingnan natin kung 0, 1 o 1 po ang bilang natin. Is Mr. B correct? Yes, the first and second cases were based on the same claim. Why? Kung ulitin natin ulit, no, sa Rule 2, di ba? Pag may contract of loan secured by a real estate mortgage, tapos nagkaroon ng failure to pay the loan upon demand later on, meron pong isang cause of action lang. Why? Kasi isang right lang po yung na-violate. What's that right? The right of the creditor to be paid upon demand. But that cause of action gave rise to two alternative remedies. What are these remedies? Number 1, collection of sum of money. Number 2, judicial foreclosure of real estate mortgage. So, isa lang po yung cause of action. Di ba? So, again, mat magandang tanong yun naman pala kayo dito, no? Pero probably kung matatanong talaga kayo sa competent court. Pero dito, pwede rin magandang tanong. Why? Kasi it requires you to relate Rule 17 and Rule 2. Specifically, yung cause of action, no? At saka yung Rule 17, no? On the two dismissal rule. So, in this case, no, the action must be dismissed because of the two dismissal rule. Why? I-apply natin, sige, nilagay ko rito yung isang requisite lang. I-apply natin yung 4 na requisites dito sa kaso na to. So, una, there must be 2 previous cases that were dismissed. Tingnan natin ang bilang. Ito yung unang bilang. May court of competent jurisdiction ba? Yes. Kasi METSI final 1 million, walang problema. So may jurisdiction over the subject matter yung court. 1 ang bilang natin dito. Next. Later, Mr. A filed an action for judicial foreclosure against Mr. B with METSI Pasay. Mr. A filed a notice of dismissal again. The court dismissed it once again. Tanong, meron bang jurisdiction ng METSI sa judicial foreclosure? Sige nga, kung maalala nyo. Meron. Why? Because foreclosure is an action involving title to an interest, diba, over a property. So in that scenario, ang kailangan nating tingnan yung assessed value. 100,000 lang po. Di METSI ulit, di ba? Matindi, no? So it requires talaga correlation. Pasok ulit, na-dismiss, may court of competent jurisdiction ulit. So ilan na bilang natin? 2 na. So pasok tayo dun sa first one, 2 kaso na dismiss, pasok tayo dun sa second requisite, which is dapat the court that dismissed the case had jurisdiction over the subject matter or court of competent jurisdiction. Dapat sila. Pangatlong requisite, they must be based on the same claim or cause of action. Pasok ulit. Kasi nga, sabi ko nga sa inyo kanina, isa lang naman ang cause of action dito. But there are alternative reliefs that Mr. A can file. No? Okay. Or can pray for. Okay. Lastly, 2 notice of dismissal ang final. Tama naman. Notice of dismissal, notice of dismissal. So, walang problema. Pasok po lahat yung 4 na requisites. That's why the 2 dismissal rule applies. So, ibig sabihin, nung pangatlong kaso, madidismiss po ang pangatlong kaso. Dismissal with prejudice because of the 2 dismissal rule. Adjudication upon the merits na po. Okay? So, tanong. Can the action be dismissed based on litis pendentia? No. Kasi kaya nga pendensya eh. It must be pending. No, because the subsequent actions were filed after the termination of the previous ones. Okay? So, litis pendentia dapat there are multiple cases, multiple actions based on the same claim or cause of action that were pending. Ito hindi naman eh. Nag-file lang isa, nag-file lang notice of dismissal, nag-file lang another. So wala pong litis pendensya. Okay, last requisite tayo. Both notices for dismissal. Okay, so paano dito po maganda itanong din, no? Pero mas natatanong po siya before nung allowed pa ang motion to dismiss than ngayon kasi nga prohibited motion na ang motion to dismiss, no. Anyways, let's tackle yung example. Mr. A filed an action for a conveyance of real property against Mr. B with the RTC Manila. The assessed value of the land was 200,000 pesos. Alam niyo na agad yan. Ano ba dapat ang assessed value pag RTC? Exceeding 400,000, di ba? Mr. B alleged that the action must be dismissed because of lack of jurisdiction over the subject matter. The court dismissed the action. Later, Mr. A filed the same action with the METC Manila. However, Mr. A filed a notice of dismissal which the court granted. Okay? After a year, Mr. A, hindi pala dapat granted dyan. The court dismissed. After a year, Mr. A filed the same action with the METC Manila. This time, Mr. B is contending that this third case must be dismissed based on the two dismissal rule. Is B correct? Is Mr. B correct? No. Why? Because the first case was dismissed because of Mr. B's affirmative defense and not because of the filing of a notice of dismissal by Mr. A. Okay? Tandaan nyo. So, notice of, kasi po, yung unang kaso, in short, no? Yung unang kaso, na-dismiss, hindi dahil nag-notice of dismissal si Mr. A. Kung hindi dahil si Mr. B, nag-affirmative defense. So, na-dismiss yung kaso. So, 0 po ang bilang. Okay. Other than that, hindi po court of competent jurisdiction. Further, ito, the court, no, that heard the RTC, okay, further, RTC Manila, comma, the court that heard the first action was not a competent court of jurisdiction. So, yung pong second at saka fourth requisites absent po. Unang-una, hindi po Court of Competent Jurisdiction yung RTC Manila kasi nga assessed value 200,000 lang. At tapos action for conveyance ang kaso. With that being said, 0 po ang bilang. Other than that, wala ding pong fourth requisite. Kasi fourth requisite, kailangan the two previous cases were dismissed because the plaintiff filed a notice of dismissal. In this case po, na-dismiss yung unang kaso dahil sa answer ni Mr. B. Dahil sa affirmative defense niya. So, wala po yung second at saka fourth requisite. So, the two dismissal rule will not apply. Anong eventual result? The third case will proceed. Hindi po siya madidismiss with prejudice because of the two dismissal rule. Okay? Ito, it seems that, ninilig ako dito, note, no? It seems that the motion to dismiss filed by the plaintiff, blah, blah, blah. Oh, wag na to. Delete natin to. Basta focus lang tayo sa notice of dismissal. Kasi itong motion to dismiss na to, filed by the plaintiff, ito yung gustong mag-dismiss ng plaintiff after the defendant served his answer. No? After the defendant served his answer, pero masyado nang complicated if we factor that in pa. No? I think itatanong na lang sa inyo pag sa notice of dismissal side lang. No, yung mga motion to dismiss that can be filed by the plaintiff, di ba? Or that was filed by the plaintiff, it happens when gustong ma-dismiss ng plaintiff yung kaso after service ng answer. Pero wag na natin masyadong wag na natin masyadong itakel pa, no? Sige. Okay. So, ayan, no? At saka yun nga, no? Motion to dismiss is a prohibited motion na. So, we can argue, we can, based on sa rules, no? Di ba, Rule 15, motion to dismiss is a prohibited motion. Hindi ba dapat covered din ng motion to dismiss filed with the plaintiff as provided under Rule 17, Section 2? Di ba dapat kasali din doon? Eh, di ba? Motion to dismiss din yun eh. No? Anyways, sa notice of dismissal na lang tayo. By the way, yung palang motion to dismiss, it's availed of by the plaintiff if he wants to dismiss the case after the defendant has served his answer or yung kanyang motion for summary judgment. Anyways, okay na yan. Sige. Dismissal upon motion by plaintiff. Ito yan. Effect on existing counterclaim. Instances where motion must be filed by the plaintiff. Once the answer is served to the plaintiff, the motion for summary judgment was served to him, or the action is a class suit because the dismissal becomes a matter of discretion on the part of the court. Pero sa akin nga kasi, motion to dismiss nga is a prohibited motion. So, baka na, ewan ko, they need to reconcile this one. The Supreme Court has to reconcile this one. Other than that, kung makikita nyo guys dun sa certification against forum shopping sa Rule 7, nakalagay pa dyan, dismiss yung kaso, non-compliance with the foregoing requirements, di ba? Hindi siya curable by amendment, but madi-dismiss, di ba? Under Rule 7, ito yun, no, yung failure to comply with the foregoing requirements shall not be curable by mere amendment of the complaint or other initiatory pleading, but shall be cause for the dismissal of the case without prejudice unless otherwise provided upon motion and after hearing. Pati po yung sa section na yan sa Rule 7, dapat ding i-reconcile ng court. Kasi sabi nila sa Rule 5, sabi ng Rules of Court na bago sa Rule 15, motion to dismiss is a prohibited motion. Yet, bakit ganun, di ba? Sabi sa Section 5 ng Rule 7, nakalagay dyan. Pag magdi-dismiss tayo due to failure to comply with the requirement ng maglalagay ng certification against forum shopping, madi-dismiss lang siya upon motion and after hearing. So ano ba talaga? Bakit ganun? Akala ko ba ang motion to dismiss is only allowed based on the grounds na lack of jurisdiction over the subject matter, litis pendentia, res judicata, saka prescription. Yet, nakalagay sa Rule 17, Section 2, itong ang tinatakil natin ngayon, at saka sa Section 5 ng Rule 7, that the case will be dismissed upon motion. So, which is it, no? Hindi naman kayo matatanong na dyan kasi isettle pa nila yan. No? Sige. Ayun, no? Okay, so, in case the case is dismissed upon the motion filed by the plaintiff, the dismissal is without prejudice as a general rule. No? Now, with respect to the counterclaims that were filed, that were prayed for by the defendant, if the defendant filed an answer with counterclaims, the dismissal will be limited to the complaint. The proceedings will continue to hear the counterclaim if the defendant manifests to have the counterclaim be resolved in the same action. Siyempre, magmamanifest yung defendant na i-resolve na lang siya sa same action para tipid na sa docket fees, tipid na sa filing fees. Saka, yun na yun, no? Para umuusad na yung kaso. Okay. Dismissal due to the fault of the plaintiff. Meron tayong 4. The plaintiff fails to appear on the presentation of his evidence in chief in the complaint. So, hindi ma-appear nung presentation na, trial. The plaintiff fails to prosecute the action for an unreasonable length of time. The plaintiff fails to comply with the rules. The plaintiff fails to comply with any order of the court. Nata-apply po to normally dito sa last one. This applies normally sa last one. Failure to comply with any order of the court. Ang example nga natin dyan, di ba? The non-joinder of an indispensable party is not a cause for dismissal. But the court, di ba? Upon motion or upon its own initiative or on its own initiative, order the inclusion of an indispensable party. if despite the order of the court, despite the order, the party still failed to implead the indispensable party in the action, ito po ang ground ng opposing party. Ito po ang ground ng defendant. If the plaintiff failed to implead an indispensable party despite the order of the court, the defendant can assail or can assert, assail tuloy, can contend that the action must be dismissed with prejudice because the plaintiff failed to comply with an order of the court. What's that order? The order to include an indispensable party in the action. Okay, yan po yun. Kaya normally ito ang nagagamit sa Section 3, Rule 17. Again, with respect to counterclaims, the dismissal is without prejudice to the right of the defendant to prosecute his counterclaim in the same or in a separate action. In short, the dismissal is limited to the complaint. It does not extend to the counterclaims that were filed or may be filed by the defendant. Okay? Let's move to Rule 18. Pre-trial na tayo. Okay, let's go to pre-trial, no? Sa pre-trial, ang normaling tinatanong dito, no, yung appearance of parties and what's the effect of the failure to appear, no? Especially ngayon, meron ng court annex mediation palagi at saka in some instances nagkaaroon ng JDR. Pero normally puro court annex mediation 'yan. So napaka-important po nitong pre-trial stage ngayon, no? Dahil dun sa Camden at saka sa JDR kasi kasali din sila. Kasali din sila dyan sa Rule 18. Okay. So both the party and his counsel must appear during the pre-trial. Otherwise, that constitutes as failure to appear. Tandaan nyo, no? Party and counsel. Later on pala, no, sa criminal procedure, pakikita natin yung pagkakaiba ng pre-trial in criminal cases at saka civil cases. Pero for now, civil cases muna tayo so that we will not be confused kasi nagkaaroon tayo agad ng mga ibang mga principles agad na hindi naman civil procedure. Okay, so sa civil procedure, dapat yung party at saka yung counsel present during pre-trial. Otherwise, failure to appear yan. What's the effect of failure to appear? If the plaintiff and counsel, di ba, fails to appear, no, dismissal with prejudice. Lagi pala natin, defendant and counsel. Defendant and counsel, plaintiff and counsel. Okay, dismissal with prejudice. Pipinalize natin yung plaintiff sa hindi niya pag-appear. Kasi ba't di ka appear ng pre-trial? No? Ikaw ang nagpo-prosecute ng kaso. Okay. Defendant and counsel, hindi nag-appear. The plaintiff may present evidence ex parte and the court shall render judgment based on the evidence presented. Okay? So, mayroon po siyang similarity sa default. Tackle natin to next, no? Anyways, failure to appear in the court during the court annex, di pala in, during, no? During the court annex mediation and or the judicial dispute resolution has the same effects as failure to appear at the pre-trial. Kasi nasabi ko sa inyo, very important ang pre-trial ngayon. Dahil nga, mayroon na rin pong in-include na mga court annex mediation at saka judicial dispute resolution sa Rule 18. So, matagal po na panahon yan ng kaso, yung buong proseso na yan. Okay? So, what are valid excuses for non-appearance during pre-trial? No? Force majeure, no? Or yung fortuitous event, act of God, pinaghiwalay pa. No? Pero fortuitous event lang yan essentially. No? And physical inability to appear which was duly substantiated. Nagka-COVID, no? Na-confine, and so on. Okay. Duly substantiated. So, dapat merong, well, in case of mga COVID na ganyan, dapat merong medical certificate, no? Or kung ano man yung ini-issue ng hospital that is admissible, or that di pala admissible. Yung ini-issue ng hospital that deserves or that is credible, yun. Ano man yung ini-issue ng hospital that is credible for purposes of the case. No? Medical legal certificate, whatever. Okay, medical legal report, mga ganyan. Sige. Let's differentiate yung judgment of default and judgment after the defendant failed to appear during pre-trial. Magkaiba po, no? Pag judgment of default, the judgment must be limited to the prayer in the complaint. It cannot be different from what he prayed for. What the plaintiff prayed for. Okay. The court cannot award unliquidated damages. So pag sinabi mong unliquidated damages, moral damages yan normally, exemplary, yan yung mga unliquidated. Why? Because moral damages, how can you, by the way, what is liquidated? No? If you can compute, if you can determine the amount with reasonable accuracy, yan yun, naalala natin. No? Yan ang ibig sabihin ng liquidated. Liquidated means the amount can be determined with the reasonable accuracy. If moral damages yan, how can you accurately determine kung magkano yung amount ng wounded feelings, di ba? Nung plaintiff. So, hindi ka mag-award ng moral and so on. Okay? And hindi rin po siya magiging different from what he prayed for, yung i-award in favor of the plaintiff. And limited lang po siya doon sa prayer sa complaint. So, kung ang prayer niya, 1,000,000 lang, 1,000,000 lang. Hindi pwedeng maiba. Kung pera, hindi pwedeng property ang i-award ng court. Hindi rin pwede unliquidated damages. Let's compare that. Judgment after the defendant failed to appear during pretrial. As we said earlier sa Section 5, the judgment will be based on the evidence presented. Okay? Thus, it is not limited to the prayer in the complaint. Sabihin natin, ang prayer is 3 million. So, pag judgment of default, hanggang 3M lang po ang pwedeng i-award in favor of the plaintiff. Okay. So, paano naman ngayon kung judgment after the defendant failed to appear during pre-trial? 3 million ang prayer. Pero ang napatunayan during the presentation of evidence ex parte, the ex parte presentation of evidence, 5 million ang napatunayan. In the second scenario po, ang i-award in favor of the plaintiff is 5 million. Pag judgment of default, ulitin natin, max mo 3M. Pag judgment after the defendant failed to appear during pre-trial, pwede kang mag-exceed sa prayer, pwedeng 5 million yan. Okay? Next tayo. Special power of attorney. No? As a general rule, no? Sabi nga natin, both the party and his counsel must appear during the pre-trial. During the court annex mediation din at saka judicial dispute resolution. Otherwise, that constitutes as failure to appear. Ito po ang exception. A representative may appear on behalf of a party provided that there is a special power of attorney to enter into an amicable settlement, to submit to alternative dispute resolution, and to enter into stipulation or admission of facts. Okay, so ito yung nasa kaso natin, no? Philippine Steel Coating Corporation versus Quinones. By way of exception, the non-appearance of a party may be excused. Ito na nga, if there is an appearance of a representative on behalf, and so on. You get the point. Ito exception. No? So as a general rule, both the plaintiff and the counsel must appear. Oh. Pero pag mayroong SPA, na ito ang nakasulat po sa SPA, pwedeng yung counsel lang ang a-appear. In short, the party can execute an SPA in favor of his counsel. Once this is executed, the counsel can then appear for himself and on behalf of the party during the CAM, JDR, and pre-trial. Pwede nang siya lang. Okay, kailangan ng SPA. So in practice po, paano to? Yung SPA na ganito, simula pa lang nung kaso, ginagawa na. Simula pa lang ng kaso. Tapos ilalagay niya dyan, special power of attorney, ilalagay mo na lahat mahaba. Lahat ng mga acts that the attorney will be empowered to do. No? Para isahan na lang. I-attach mo yan sa, or i-annex mo yan sa complaint. No? Or sa answer. Ganun na yun. Yun na rin gagamitin mo pag nasa CAM ka na, nasa JDR ka na, nasa pre-trial ka na. Diba? Madali. No? So, hindi man maka-attend yung ating party, hindi po ma-penalize during pre-trial. No? Wala siyang magiging matinding effect na like ganyan, di ba? Tuloy ang kaso, basically. Sige. Let's move, no? Pre-trial brief. So, same thing. If hindi mo failure to file a pre-trial brief is tantamount to failure to appear during pre-trial. When should the pre-trial brief be, be filed? At least 3 calendar days before the date of pre-trial. And sabi din po sa Rule 18, party shall ensure the receipt of the pre-trial by the adverse party. No? Ensure. So, dapat siguraduhin. Iba po yung sinabing i-notify, iba yung sinabing ensure. Mas matindi yung ensure. Diba? Kaya po, in practice, no? In practice po, ang ginagawa, personal service talaga ng pre-trial, brief. No? Hindi pwedeng registered mail. Kasi pag registered mail, buwan-buwan ang aabutin yan. Buwan-buwan ang aabutin yan. Pagod. Normally buwan-buwan talaga. Isang buwan. Pag out of province, multiple months. Bago makarating yung sulat. Kung parating na yung pre-trial, hindi na natanggap ng kabilang party. Okay, so you get the point, no? If the adverse party does not receive it on time, what's that time? At least 3 calendar days before the date of the pre-trial. Would it result to failure to appear? No? At the pre-trial. So let's clarify. If the adverse party does not receive it on time, would the party who filed the pre-trial brief be considered to have failed to appear during the pre-trial? Would the party who filed the pre-trial brief would be considered to have failed? Okay. No, the pre-trial hearing would just be reset. As stated, tandaan natin, failure to file ang tantamount sa failure to appear. Hindi po sinabing failure to serve. No? Ang filing, you do that sa court. Ang service, you do that sa opposing party. If na-file po at least 3 calendar days before the date of the pre-trial, no problem. Complied po tayo. So, hindi po siya failure to appear. Okay? So, mag-reset lang po ang hearing kung hindi na i-serve on time. Pero yung filing, yan ang problema natin. Kailangan ma-file talaga yan ng tama. No? I-add pala dito. No? Thus, no? Must file. His pre-trial brief, no? At least 3 calendar days for the date of the pre-trial brief. Okay. Judgment after pre-trial. Ito po bago tong feature ng yung 2019 amendments, no? Should there be no more controverted facts or no more genuine issue? Itong no more controverted facts, saan yung normally makikita to? Ito pang isa, absence of any issue. Ito pang isa, should the answer fail to tender an issue. Makikita nyo ito normally sa judgment on the pleadings. Yung no more genuine issue as to any material fact summary judgment yung makikita to. Okay? Without prejudice to a party moving for judgment on the pleadings under Rule 34 or summary judgment under Rule 35, no? The court shall motu proprio include in the pretrial order that the case be submitted for summary judgment or judgment on the pleadings without need of position papers or memoranda. The order of the court to submit the case for judgment pursuant to this rule shall not be subject to appeal or certiorari. Order pa lang po, hindi pa yung judgment of the court. Sabi ng court, order to submit the case to judgment on the pleadings. Iba yung order nun, iba yung judgment itself on the pleadings. Yung judgment itself, no? Yung judgment on the pleadings, yun pwede mong i-appeal. Okay? Pero yung order, hindi pwedeng i-appeal, hindi pwedeng mag-file ng petition for certiorari. As stated under Section 10, no? Section 10, Rule 18. Okay? Anyway, let's tackle na lang itong no more genuine issue, absence of any issue. Let's tackle this one na lang sa Rule 34 at saka 35. Okay? In this case po, no, dito sa Section 10, ito na ilagay. Section 10, Rule 18, the determination is not limited to the pleadings filed by the parties. Kasi pre-trial na yun. Nag-deposition na, modes of discovery na. No? So, ifa-factor in po lahat to determine if this case must be submitted for summary judgment or judgment on the pleadings. Okay. So, next natin, Rule 19 na tayo. Intervention. Okay. Okay, tuloy tayo sa Rule 19, no? Intervention. Itong Rule 19 po na intervention, hindi lang ito yung intervention na nasa Rules of Court, no? Marami pa pong ibang kinds of intervention. Okay, simulan natin, no? So, intervention under Rule 19, yan yung isa. Next is court-mandated intervention. Kung makikita nyo yan, nasa Rule 9 yan. Diba? Hindi pwedeng magkaroon ng default in case of declaration of nullity of marriage, annulment of marriage, at saka legal separation. No? And the prosecutor must intervene in the action to determine ba't kailangan po mag-intervene ng prosecutor sa annulment of marriage and so on, in order to determine if there was collusion between the parties. Kasi ang parties nga husband and wife. No? Next, forced intervention. How does this happen? No? Under Rule 39 and Rule 57. Rule 39 is execution, Rule 57 is preliminary attachment. Where the properties of the judgment debtor in the possession of a third person were garnished or attached. No? So, sino po yung naging forced intervener in this scenario? Yung third person. No? Kasi probably meron siyang claim over the property that was garnished or attached. Okay? Kasi nga siya in possession of the same. So, magiging siyang forced intervener sa kaso. He has to prove, no, kung gusto niyang ipaglaban yung kanyang possession over the property, he has to prove, tanggalin natin itong ay nito, he has to prove whether he has a claim, whether he is the owner of the same, third person. Later on, matatakil natin to, yung ganitong scenario. No? So, if the property that was garnished or attached, no, was in possession of a third person. No? So, diyan nagkakaroon ng mga terceria and so on. Lastly, court encourage intervention, which happens in environmental cases. No? The court encourages NGOs and other parties to intervene. Another scenario po nito is class suits under Rule 3. Makikita niyo po dyan, dun sa section, tingnan natin sa class suit. Under Rule 3, Section 12, last sentence. Any party in interest shall have the right to intervene to protect his individual interest in cases na merong class suit. Okay? Yan yun. So, for court encourage intervention po ang tawag dyan. Next tayo, no? So, let's focus sa Rule 19 kasi nasa Rule 19 tayo. Okay, so what are the requisites for intervention under Rule 19? So, there must be motion for leave of court to intervene. Next, in the motion, no, the movant must attach the complaint or the answer in intervention. Quick, ano lang tayo, no? Quick discussion lang. Kailan po nagiging complaint intervention? Kailan po nagiging answer in intervention? Complaint in intervention po ang ipa-file ng ating movant, no, ng ating third party pa lang siya kasi di pa naman siya ina-admit as a party to the case. Complaint in intervention po ang ipa-file nitong third party na to in two scenarios. First, he wants to join the plaintiff against the defendant, so sasali siya dun sa plaintiff side. Or this third party, no, has a claim against both parties. Kalaban niya yung defendant, so kasama niya yung plaintiff, or kalaban niya pareho. Complaint in intervention po ipa-file. Ayusin natin. Okay. Kailan naman po magiging answer in intervention? Magiging pong answer in intervention if the third party wants to side with the defendant against the plaintiff. No? So gusto niya maging defendant dito sa kaso. Answer in intervention po ang ipa-file niya, ang i-attach niya dun sa motion. Next, this motion must be filed, no? The motion must be filed at any time before judgment by the trial court. So after judgment ng trial court, hindi na siya pwedeng mag-intervene. Attorney, what's his remedy? Mag-separate action ka. Would that be considered as litis pendentia? No, kasi identity of parties pa lang. Absent na eh. Kasi third party ka nga. Sasali ka, edi you are new party. Walang identity of parties. Okay, so walang litis pendentia. Yun ang remedy mo. Kung hindi mo makakuha ng intervention, file ka ng separate action. So, the third party, di ba? The intervenor must have a legal interest, okay? Over the matter in litigation. Anyway, basta legal interest na lang. It will not unduly delay or prejudice the adjudication of rights of the original party. So, depende to sa court, no? Depende sa assessment if it will delay or prejudice yung rights no adjudication of the rights of the original parties, and the intervener's rights may not be fully protected in a separate proceeding. Okay. So, tandaan natin, as a general rule, di ba? Sa requisites for intervention under Rule 19, motion is necessary. Ilalagay ko dito, no? Thus, as a general rule, the approval of the court is necessary, no? Because, diba, the third party has to file a motion, diba, for leave of court to intervene before he can actually intervene in the case. Diba? However, as an exception, approval of the court is not always necessary in two scenarios. Where the person seeking intervention is an indispensable party to the case. Pag indispensable party siya, hindi niya kailangan ng court approval to intervene. Why? Because no final determination of the case can be had without him. The court would even welcome his intervention kasi the court will not issue an order na to implead him. Diba? Instead of mag-issue pa ng order yung court, yung party na mismo, yung indispensable party na mismo ang sasali sa kaso. So, hindi po kailangan ng court approval if indispensable party. Okay? Thus, the court would commit grave abuse of discretion if the motion for leave of an indispensable party will be denied. Okay? Indispensable party, gusto sumali, hindi mo sinali. Grave abuse. Pag i-deny mo yung motion, pwede mag-petition for certiorari yan. Pati mo siya isali, indispensable party yan. Okay? Sana po malinaw. Kasi, kung hindi mo siya isasali, hindi rin magkakaroon ng valid judgment no, sa kaso. Void judgment yan. Next is where the person seeking intervention is a plaintiff of a class suit. Kasi nga, under Section 12, Rule 3, any person, any party in interest shall have the right to intervene to protect his individual interest. Okay, so what does legal interest mean? It means actual, material, direct, and of an immediate interest. It cannot be contingent, expected, conjectural, or inchoate. Okay, so ito. Bigyan lang tayo ng examples, no? Ang daming mga adjectives. Actual, material, direct, immediate, contingent, expected, conjectural, inchoate. What does this mean? May dalawa tayong examples. AAA Corporation filed an action for collection of sum of money against BBB Corporation. Can the stockholders of AAA Corporation intervene in the action? Ganon sila kagalit. Gusto namin, kami rin, ilagay sa plaintiff. Hindi kasi nagbayad si BBB. No, because their interests are merely inchoate. Wala po silang legal interest over the matter in litigation or in the matter of litigation. In the matter in litigation, wala po. Inchoate right lang. It's not actual, direct, immediate. Ang actual, direct, immediate interest po belongs to the corporation, kay AAA. No? Hindi po sa stockholders ni AAA. Next example. Mr. A filed an action for reconveyance of property against Mr. B, a 100-year-old man. Can the heirs of Mr. B intervene in the action? Hindi pa din po. Because the interest over the real property of the heirs, because the interest of the heirs over the real property are contingent, expectant, conjectural, inchoate. We are unsure whether the heirs of Mr. B will outlive him, and we are unsure if Mr. B's estate will own the property until his last breath. So with that being said, hanggat hindi po namamatay si Mr. B, inchoate ang rights ng heirs over the real property in question. Okay? Ang meron lang pong actual, material, direct, immediate interest dyan, si B lang. So only B should be the party in the action, not the heirs. Pag namatay na si B, at saka lang po pwedeng mag-intervene yung ating mga heirs. No? Sabihin natin namatay, hindi pala actually. Pag namatay si B during the pendency of the action, di ba, under Rule 3, isa-substitute na lang yung heirs. Pwedeng substitution, pwedeng intervention. Sila na bahala, ano gusto nilang i-file. Basta, ang in short dyan, kailangan pwede na silang mailagay sa kaso as defendants, yung heirs. No? Sige. The intervener must have a legal interest in the matter in litigation in the success of either of the parties against both or is so situated as to be adversely affected by a distribution, blah, blah, blah. Meron tayong 4 na examples dito. No? Let's tackle each of these, no? Para maintindihan natin ano ba ibig sabihin. Example for success of either party. No? Mr. A filed an action for conveyance of real property against Mr. B. Mr. C, the supposed co-owner of Mr. A, wants to join the action. What is the possible remedy for him? File a motion for leave to intervene because he has a legal interest in the success of Mr. A. The same way, meron din po siyang legal interest in the matter in litigation. What's the matter in litigation? Yung real property. Supposed co-owner siya. Diba? Next, against both. Mr. A filed an action for a conveyance of real property against Mr. B. Mr. C is also claiming that he owns the property. So nagkaroon ng triple threat match. Mr. A versus Mr. B versus Mr. C. What is the possible remedy for Mr. C? File a motion for leave to intervene because he has a legal interest against both parties. O, yan tayo sa against both. Hindi pala, against the success of both parties. Okay. Adversely affected by a distribution or disposition of the property in custody of the court. By the way, di ba itong pangalawa na ito pala, no, before we move on to the next example. Itong sa una, meron ding legal interest si over the matter in litigation kasi nga supposed co-owner siya. In this same reasoning po, no, dito sa against both na to, si meron din siyang legal interest over the matter in litigation kasi nga kine-claim niya siya may-ari. So, pasok na po sila dito. Sa second example, pasok pa siya dito. Yung first example, meron na siya dito, pasok din siya dito. O doon tayo sa last dito. Mas mahirap. Okay. Mr. A filed an action for collection of sum of money against Mr. B. Okay. Mr. A prevailed. Okay. Huwag palang won. Prevailed, no? Or in the action. Okay. During the pendency of the action, so nanalo si A, no? During the pendency of the action, Mr. A's bank deposit with ABC Bank was attached by the sheriff. What is the possible remedy of ABC Bank? File a motion for leave to intervene because the distribution of the amount in the bank deposit, the distribution of the amount in the bank deposit would adversely affect the bank's deposits. Diba? It would, the distribution of the balance dapat. Amount na lang nga, pwede na rin. Distribution of the amount in the bank deposit would adversely affect the bank's deposit. So, as a third party, na bank, di ba yung bangko, pwede siya mag-intervene. Sabihin niya, hindi, iba naman, sa iba po may-ari nito. Pwede niya sabihin yun. Kapangalan lang po yan. Di ba? Pwede niya sabihin na gano'n. So, it has to intervene. No? And so on. Kung ano man yung magiging defense ng ABC Bank. No? Next. Same phrase, no? Adversely affected by a distribution or disposition of the property in custody of the court. Mr. A filed an action for collection of sum of money against Mr. B. Mr. A prevailed in the action. During the execution stage, Mr. A's bank deposit with ABC Bank was garnished by the sheriff. Ano ba pagkakaiba ng una sa pangalawa? Ang preliminary attachment po kasi, it happens before judgment. Okay, tanggalin natin pala yung Mr. A prevailed. Ayan. Ang preliminary attachment po, ina-apply yan at ini-issue po yan ng court before judgment. Okay. Kasi nga, preliminary. On the other hand, ang garnishment po, nangyayari po yan during the execution stage. Iga-garnish mo. Hindi na siya preliminary attachment. Kasi tapos na yung kaso, panalo na si A. Okay? So, yan po ang pagkakaiba. Same thing lang po, no? Mr. A's bank deposit with ABC Bank was garnished by the sheriff. Okay. What is the possible remedy of ABC Bank if it wants to contest the garnishment? File a separate action. Diba? Nakita nyo? It cannot intervene because judgment was already rendered by the court. Kasi when is the time to intervene? Lagi ko narito sa requisites. Diba? Ay, hindi ko nalagay ito. Ito pala ang requisite ito. Time to intervene. The motion to intervene may be filed at any time before rendition of judgment by the trial court. Okay, so ulitin natin. Dito po sa una, yung preliminary attachment na ginawa na to, pwedeng mag-intervene si ABC Bank. Why? Kasi unang-una, meron siyang legal interest. Kasi it would be adversely affected by the distribution of the property in custody of the court. Ano yun yung bank deposit? Bababa ang deposito nila eh. Diba? So, pwede. And at the same time pala, wala pang judgment. No? Wala pang judgment yung trial court. So, pwede pang mag-intervene. Ito pong sa pangalawang example. Again, parang pareho lang po yung facts, pero nag-garnish po yung court, no? During the execution stage. Tapos na, mag-rule ang court. Nagkaroon na ng decision. So, what is the possible remedy of ABC Bank if it wants to contest the garnishment? Hindi po intervention. Bakit hindi intervention? Kasi nga, yung time to intervene tapos na. Yan, tapos na eh. So, ano gagawin ni A? Ano gagawin ng ABC Bank? You need to file a separate action. No? Pwede rin naman sa ano, no? Sa, we will learn later on yung mga iba pang mga remedies niya, pero hindi intervene. Okay? Pwede rin siya mag-terceria. No? Pero sa later na lang natin i-tackle yun. Basta file a separate action siya. It cannot intervene because the judgment was already rendered by the court. Okay? Yan po, no? Sige. What's the effect if the action is dismissed during the pendency of the motion for leave to intervene? As a general rule, if the action is dismissed, the motion for leave to intervene must also be dismissed. Why? Kasi there's no more action. Tapos na, di ba? As exception, if the intervention is against both parties to the case, the intervention will subsist despite the dismissal of the main proceedings. Bakit po? Because the intervenor, itong ano no, itong third party, he has an interest separate and distinct from the original parties. So kailangan ilitigate natin yung kasi kalaban niya pareho eh. 'Di ba? Pero ito pong general rule, sabihin natin yung third party gusto lang niyang pumanig sa plaintiff o gusto lang niyang pumanig sa defendant na na-dismiss ang kaso, hindi na po siya hindi na siya makakasali kasi dismiss na rin yung motion niya. Pero pag against both parties yung intervention, tuloy ang proceedings. Okay? Okay na to. Hindi na to important, no? Remedy for the denial, well, nilagay na lang din natin for compliance purposes, pero hindi ito likely matatanong, no? Sige, just read this through na lang. Okay? Sige. Remedy for the denial of motion to intervene. Okay, so pag denial, an improper denial of a motion for intervention or motion to intervene is correctable by appeal. Why? Because that is tantamount to judgment on the merits as to the third person's right to present his side. Diba? Judgment on the merits na yun. Pag dininay mo yung motion for intervention, wala na. Diba? Hindi ka na makakapasok sa kaso. Okay. But if there is grave abuse of discretion, no, mandamus will lie when there is no other plain speedy adequate remedy. Anyway, dito focus ko na lang sa appeal, no? Focus tayo dito sa appeal, no? Sige. What if nag-grant po yung motion for leave to intervene? Motion for leave to intervene. An improper granting of a motion for intervention may be controlled, may be corrected by certiorari and prohibition. Why? Kasi interlocutory order po ito. This is an order by the court that does not completely dispose the case. It is an interlocutory order. In case of interlocutory order, what's the remedy of the court? What's the remedy that must be filed by the party to the court, or with the court? Certiorari yan, di ba? Hindi po pwedeng appeal kasi wala pa namang judgment on the merits. So, certiorari siya. Tandaan nyo. So, in short, pasimplihin natin. Natin dito. Note, no? If the motion is denied, the proper remedy is to appeal. If the motion is granted, the proper remedy is to file a petition for certiorari. Yan. Very good. Okay. Intervention versus third-party complaint. Ano po ang pagkakaiba nila? No? Ang intervention po, motion for leave of court is not always necessary. It's only necessary under Rule 19. Pag po court encouraged, court mandated, at saka forced intervention, hindi kailangan ng motion. Papasok talaga sila, no? Sa kaso yung third party. Third party complaint, motion for leave of court is always necessary. Intervention, the third party files the motion, not a party to the case. Third party complaint, the party to the case files the motion to implead a third person. Intervention, legal interest ang kailangan natin sa third party complaint. it must be in relation to the opponent's or the plaintiff's claim. So, mas wide po ang coverage ng legal interest. Ang third-party complaint, pag nag-file ang defendant, dapat in relation po yung third-party complaint doon sa claim ng plaintiff. Kasi you're just seeking contribution, indemnity, reimbursement from the third person. In relation, di pala dapat in relation to. Ayun, the defendant, no, is seeking contribution, indemnity, or reimbursement from a third party. So, the third party complaint must be in relation to the plaintiff's claim. Yan. Okay? We're done with this, no? So, sa next natin, Rule 20 onwards na tayo sa next video natin. Okay? See you there.